Hi and welcome to this webinar about helping your team to work in the right things in the right way. I'm really glad to see that so many have called in today, and I'm also happy that we have such a spread from different positions in the industries out there. So I will be very happy to see that you all will take something valuable back to your daily operations. First of all, some technical information. You will be during the webinar muted, but if you see in the upper bar, you have a symbol with a question mark, Q&A in English and FNS in Swedish, for example. If you click on that one, you will be able to communicate with my backup team. And it's also there where you put the questions that we will try to answer in the end of this webinar, the last 5 minutes to answer the Q&As you have. My name is Björn Gilsén, and I'm a managing director at Core Development, short COD. We are helping companies throughout the world by offering an alternative way of working, a craftsmanship how to, in involving, systematic way, support people to be curious and determined to execute what they have decided. We do this in a pragmatic, hands-on way, and we have been able to test this all over the world in many countries, in different small and big companies. The presentation, the solution we're gonna show you today, we already conducted in many top companies, and we feel very confident that this will also help you going forward. The solution we have will be a step-by-step approach, and it is also based on a view that people know normally what they do, have to do, but they are sometimes missing the skills sets or the experience to do so. So the solution we will present today is around how can you guide your team to make up their mind about what to work with and how to do it. It will not be a presentation showing you convincing, great buy-in, or even telling people what to do, since this has been proven insufficient until now. So before we dig into the actual explanation around what is the reasoning behind our solution, I would like you to take your time and answer the following question. What kind of leadership brings out the best in you? Take 5 seconds, please, and write it down on a piece of paper or maybe in a notebook. 2, 3 answers you will put to answer this question. I will come back in a couple of minutes to this question. So now we can dive into the theory part that explains the logic behind the solution I will present in a couple of minutes. So the first theory I would like to share with you is the theory about how to work in an organization, or maybe even leadership skills. One existing ideology in the market is the task-oriented authoritarian one. I think you all are very well aware of what this is about. It is the view that the leader should tell people what to do, give orders, instruction, and command and control, and this obviously influence a topic like we have today, how to make people work in the right way with the right things. In this case, the leader will tell the people what to do. Since 70 years, there's another system on the market. It is the management by objective one. It's result-oriented, and it is when the leader are supposed to show the direction and ask the teams, the co-workers, to find their own ways to get it. So in short, the specifying demand replace command and control, and the target KPIs are replacing the orders instructions. So in the task-oriented way, the leaders, you in this case, should tell people what to do and how. But in the result-oriented, you always go for the what they should achieve, but the how is left alone for the people to decide on their own. These two systems has been proven insufficient to support the teams to work with the right things the right way. The low transparency is really killing the people out there. The challenges of the leaders is to know what they're actually doing when they are not present. So the alternative way, we can call a solution-oriented way of working, is obviously something really different. These required leaders that ask questions instead of telling people what to do. It's more about how to work and let the people be empowered to identify the topics they will do work with and what they should do. The decisions are more a team-oriented common agreement than top-down or distributed discussions what you need to achieve going forward. The common agreement replace the KPIs, which replace the order and structure. So these are three different kinds of way of working or ideologies or schools. This influence obviously the people that are operating in these systems. If you go to the authoritarian task-driven one, I think it comes without saying this is what it is supposed to meet. If you have the view on people like this, you obviously will choose the task-oriented one. On the other hand, if you work in a task-oriented way, authoritarian way, this is the influence you will get on the people. So this will move your culture in your organization to be more like this. If you go to the result-oriented view, I think this is obviously what you think your people are like. Or on the other hand, this is what you get if you conduct such a leadership. People will be selfish, silo-oriented, sub-optimizing, and try to reach their own benefit on the cost of the overall one. If you go back then to the solution-oriented one, I think it's really clear that if you believe in this, you have to work in a different way as a leader. People want to do the best. People want to be involved, and people want to make a difference. So if you go back to the question you had, I asked you to answer earlier. I think that most of your answers go in the direction of the right column. So that makes me confident that the proposal I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes is really going to meet your requirements as a coworker. So in working situations, it's about going for team decisions. So let me then slide over to our theory about how a team works. This is a metaphor for a team decision, best idea, or maybe finding a problem-solving issue. The room, they represent the team. The walls are framing the question, and the windows are the perspective that each individual person have. Built upon their experience and skill set, training, education, we all have unique views. And in this room, we have different subsets of a best idea or a solution. In the upper right corner, you see a kitchenette. In the lower right, you see the computer corner, the bed and the sofa, representing different parts of a solution. And you can see that if one person look in, it is impossible for that person to see the closed corner. The closest corner are not visible, and they can't even ask about it because each and everyone think they're right. They see the full picture. This is a fantastic opportunity to have a team value, to create complementary views and have diversity as a real gift, superpower, if you can handle it. In this case, it seems obvious that I need to listen in what people see. You don't need to agree upon the background or what people are looking at. You only have to share the view so I understand what is really in the room beyond what I can see myself. In the second step, when you would like to proceed and agree on something, you probably also see it's necessary to go for the dining table in the middle, not get stuck in discussions who are right and what we disagree upon, meaning that you spend lot of time or effort in the corners to try to convince or argue what is the right things to do. So the room is the team orientation. Let's go for the common agreement, and that is then the way forward in this presentation. So the actual proposal looks like this. If you work in a specific way, following the guidelines built upon the theories, I think you can handle all the steps in the workshop we will provide you with. The first step in the guidelines we have in CoD is to clarify the background. You do so because you need a broader perspective than your own individual one, and build upon the broader perspective, you see more opportunities. To invite people, you have to have a question that will stimulate people to contribute. And an open one, how and what is most obviously the best solution to invite people. When people have the question, they are activated to give their input. By helping them to ask them to think and write, you will determine that everybody have their formulation and their piece to think in their view, and also bring it to paper, which will then be very crucial for the collection which come in the fourth step. In the fourth loop, you collect the ideas without any evaluation, discussions. You keep it neutral, firm, and kind, and you create the team's gross list of possible ideas to solve the problem you have been working with. In the fifth step, if you have the gross list, you can go back easily to each and every one and explain a little bit more in depth what was the reason behind the proposal, so we can solve the problem we are working with. And in some areas, some topics, in some situations, you also take the decision with the team, meaning that we have to prioritize amongst maybe 20 ideas. You can handle maybe 2. So let's bring it down by discussion or voting to have the top list of the top 3 ones we can work with, assign work groups, and set up infrastructure so that the execution is secured, not only the ideas, also the actually to-dos needs to be taken care of. This is the workflow we have in a question, in a meeting, in a workshop, or even in a development process, in the operational, strategic, and the product world, which is these guidelines are applicable. So let's slide over to the actual proposal. So you are the leader, you have a team, and this has to be repeated for each team that you need to work with, since it is a self decision or the team's decision that is the crucial part of this. You guide the team to make up their mind. The first step is to set the expectations in the preparation. You will provide the team with a high-level agenda and no more. Since it's extremely important to help people and to avoid them for taking premature decisions, proposals built upon their only individual view. In this case, you probably will say, we will have a workshop. It will be built upon common agreement, and you don't need to prepare anything. We will do it together step by step. And I will support you by guiding you with the workflow. The next step will be the day of the workshop. Normally, our clients invest half a day, maybe sometime 2 days, and it's done with the team. It could be 5 persons in the team or 200. We have conducted similar meetings over the last years. The process is the same. It's just you have to repeat it in parallel, some steps. So the first and one of the most crucial steps is to secure the background. If the topic is to go forward with the team, you as a leader probably have a presentation to start with. In this step, we would like to focus only on facts and stay out from the area of making conclusions, summarize, make it, this means this for you team, or even worse, bring it to some uh, targets or KPIs that you want them to reach. Stay to the fact-based information and leave the processing of this to the team in the next step. After bringing your presentation about the facts, don't forget to involve the team to add on answering this question. What in addition do they see is necessary to understand? This will open up their views. You will honor the room, and you will also take advantage of their insights to explain the complexity of the situation, since otherwise this will going very smooth to reach what you are intent to do. Do the COD spiral, ask the question, think and write, collect it, and create a gross list to expand all of the team members' views about the situation and the specific circumstances we need to consider. Now you have created a shared view about the situation we are in. This is extremely important to get the people out of their silo thinking mentality and to see the big picture, which is the common ground for our team's next step. And that is to decide what to do about it. In this part of the workshop, you will ask the team the following question. What are the topics that are the most important for us to work with? Built upon the expanded view everybody got through the first step about the background, you can trust that people now have a more common based view, less silo mentality and less my thing. And by doing this by the COD spiral, you will get the team step by step to get closer to the common agreement we need to have. Ask the question, think and write, collect it, but this time include the team to take the step of prioritization. Meaning, maybe you can cluster the ideas, you can let people vote, so we get a top maybe 3 list of the topics we need to start with. When you have done this common agreement, you can get over to the next step of the workshop. That is to break down the scope of the topic, that which normally is half a year, but this level is not sufficiently concrete and clear to help people to know what to do. So you have to break it down to more reasonable sizes. We call it initiatives. Repeat the workflow by inviting people to the following question. What 1-2-month initiatives shall we start with? The initiatives are under each umbrella of the topics, so that is a more concrete part which the team can start work with. Repeat the flow and make a prioritization of the things you think that the team wants to start to work with. Secure that everybody is involved in a work group and organize them so they each initiative have a cross-functional small team that will be responsible to drive this topic initiative forward. And finally, before stop in this stage of the workshop, invite all other team members not included in the workshop to collect advice, to bring all the know-how in the team to be given to each initiative work group prior to the start of the actions. This is a crucial part of the workshop, since giving advice is very crucial to create acceptance. So if you want to improve the result, it's not sufficient that you have a good solution. Acceptance is equally, if not maybe more important than the quality of solutions. And it's also very clear that if you see all the initiatives in the world around organizational, strategic, or project development are failing, it's due to the lack of acceptance. And majority of this initiative doesn't fly. So to secure the acceptance, invite people to give advice prior to whatever topic it is. If you wait and ask the people after the team have worked with the topic, you will have a lot of criticism coming up. I think it would be the same idea all people have. So create acceptance by involving people prior to the steps. So now we have reached the level of the workshop where you can start to think about how shall we work. The way working is then crucial, and it probably has to be an updated version of what you did until now. So by asking this question, you can invite the people to benefit from the differences you have done during this workshop. The way you have done this workshop influence people to understand the way working a lot. It is probably seen as a more efficient way than to do before. So the answer on these questions will be that we have to be more collaborative, we have to execute what we decide to do, and we need to bring in people from different views prior to the step that we're going to take going forward. The CoD spiral will be used by asking questions. The question bring in the views from each one in a written stage that you collected, but in this case also prioritize. So you have a common agreement about 3, 4, 5 things that we will hold each other accountable in the way we're going to work. In the last step of the workshop, you can help people to go to the most crucial one. This is the step when you need to support the people to choose small enough tasks. Half an hour effort is what maybe a person in a normal daily business see this possible to commit to in a 2 weeks period. So instead of letting all people have big ambitions and not getting to the action, we are helping people to decide what exactly they want to do, small enough so it's not going to be an issue that you can't do it, and we then help each other to do it. We will do so by setting this up in a digital tool, a Kanban system. In MS Team is called Task Planner, so we have a transparent, clear overview what is the deliveries we commit to and until when. We can repeat this in all 3 topics, but all the work will be done in parallel, inviting a lot more people than it used to be, moving small steps. So in short, if you want to see the whole systematic approach, you will have to set up a meeting cadence. Bi-weekly progress reviews where the work is viewed in maybe the task planner system. You will only check the progress, and if everything is on track, it's a short meeting, less than 30 minutes, just checking out that people are live in this context, that they are moving forward. If they need advice, support, this is the platform for a short checkpoint. That you do per initiatives or per work group. In the monthly review, you can bring up all the topics in parallel to see if there's a need for overlapping issues, if there is a need for support cross-functionally, and it's also a progress checkpoint. For half an hour would be sufficient to check that all charts where you can monitor the progress is kicking and alive. And a quarterly review to check if all the topics are live, that we need to close some of those, or we need to add something due to changes in our environment and surroundings. So, short, let me then go through the process again. It's about you guiding the team to make up their mind. Help them to prioritize common agreements so we don't get stuck in individual discussions who is right. And I would like to highlight 2 things in this process that is really important. That is the background. There is where you set the scene for the whole flow. And it's also the last part of breaking down the initiatives, the ideas, the abstract ambitions to something very concrete that you can help and monitor so they can be able to execute the small steps of maybe half an hour efforts. So if you will follow through this in a realistic case, you will probably say that in the background, you see that you have some issues around you are losing market shares, and it's due to you're not present in the high growth markets. The topic will be, of course, to enter the most promising new markets. And the initiative would be, for example, to identify which market to start with. A second one could be to secure that they have the legal and marketing requirements in place. A third initiative could be to check with production that we have the proper product for these kind of markets. And a task would be a kind of, I will call the Chamber of Commerce in the top 3 countries we have decided, or I will set up a meeting with marketing and legal to see what is necessary to solve, or that we work with the product management to identify the top 3 products we're going to produce. So, going back to the question, how do we help people to do right things in the right way? In our solution, I try to show that this is not a question for a leader to answer. It is to ask a question. And with your guidance, you can help the team go forward and create a very committed, agreed, and accepted way forward. And then you have to support them to stay on track, because daily business is still a very fierce old enemy. Thank you for listening, and I would like to slide over to see what kind of questions we have in the chat. We have not received any questions yet, so let me then highlight what are the most common questions we receive. One question is, what about my own idea as a manager, leader, if I work like this? If you go back to the room, I think you could be aware of that we are also limited in our understanding. So going forward in a workflow like this, asking the team to express their views first, I think you can count on, with an expanded background understanding and a high quality team with a lot of diversity and complementary views, you could probably count on that they have similar conclusions as yourself. If there still are things missing in the analysis, it is also clear that the team will appreciate if a team leader or a manager at the end of each step provide extra support by adding on their view. So your own suggestions will be, of course, honored, but after you have listened in to the team. Another big question we have is, what do I do if people are not willing to participate? I think that is normally a history or a heritage from previous experience from your team members. So if you are a little bit patient, you ask the question, and you allow people to take the time to answer them on their own, you will see that step by step, people will be able to express their ideas, but sometimes it takes some time. So if you repeat it 1 or 2 or 3 times, I think I can guarantee people will come up from their previous view of not being able to contribute. So you have to teach your team to go forward and express themselves. If I have a target from headquarters, how do I treat them in this way of working? This is a very common and relevant question. We are not existing in a system where we are free to choose whatever we want. So the targets are treated in this way of working as a fact. It is put in the background and used as one of the ingredients in the background situation. So if you want to involve your team, you have to be open and transparent with the targets you have, but they are not being cascaded down. So you treat them as a background input in your way of working. So I think we are getting close to the statement or the stop of this webinar. So I would really like to express my gratitude and thank you all for the participation. And you are always uh, invited to reach out if you need more information or specific answer on your questions. And you also can see on the slide where you can reach us. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. And I hope sincerely you got something valuable back to your own business. Thank you for today. Bye bye.